some would say that you're their favourite DJ. You're the DJ's DJ. And that was contributive to the amount of time that as a youngster, you'd be sitting on the record boxes of other DJs studying them.
Yeah, to me, I mean, some people see DJing as just playing records.
Yeah.
Some people see DJing as a real art form. To me, it is. It's a real craft, man. You know, you can really take people on a journey when you're playing a set. And you know, my favorite DJs when I first started going out. I mean, when I first went to raves in 1989, I went to Biology, I went to Sunrise, went to Energy, and the first guys I heard was Frost, Carl Cox, Fabio, and Groove Rider, and they all blew my mind. Do you know what I mean? I can remember coming back from one of those raves in '89. I was playing out around that time, just playing small parties, small little illegal parties mostly in Coventry and in the West Midlands. And I remember coming back from one party and I'd heard those four guys play, and I took half the records out my because I was like, that's all shit. You know what I mean? But that was an education. Do you know what I mean? But you're right. Yeah. And then luckily when those guys started coming up to the Midlands to play, and I was playing this like kind of 1990, and I was like 19 at the time, 18, 19. But yeah, I would sit, you know, on somebody's record box and just watch these guys play. Like when Derek May first came to the UK in 1990, I literally stood by the side of the decks for his entire reset, man. You know what I mean?
Derek May is, and there was a club, I forget the name of it, that Goldie mentions actually, that Derek May used to be very prominent at, and you used to go there very frequently, but I'm sure you were an avid follower of him, were in any capacity.
Yeah, I mean, Derek May was like a godlike to me, do you know what I mean? Because I first started buying his records in like 86, 87 kind of thing. So when I first got to hear him play, and the thing that Derek May taught me was to, you know, always stick to your guns, and sometimes people aren't going to like what you play. But if you're a real DJ...
Craftsman.
But if a real DJ has a personality, that's as simple as I can say it. Do you know what I mean? Like when you hear Groove Rider, you know Groove Rider's on. When you hear Fabio, you know Fabio's on. You don't need to look up to the decks. Do you know what I mean?
So true.
When you hear Randall,
you know you're in safe hands when Doc Scott's on deck. You know what I mean?
But I just think like that's what a real DJ is. Do you know what I mean? It's someone that's expressing their personality through what they're playing. You can play the same records as someone else, but you put it together in a different way. You know?
Mad.
So I remember when Derek May came over, he was so far in the future. This is like 1990, so we're still kind of in the rave days, and people want to hear, you know, fucking Smarties tunes and things like that kind of thing. There was like a mixture
Charlie
of...
says.
Yeah, you know, but that was cool because we're all 18, 19, dropping E's, and nobody really knows any different. But Derek May came from Detroit, and he was like... I remember he played like a couple of tunes which were kind of like token gestures to the crowd, but pretty much it was like fucking Detroit techno. And I wouldn't say half, I'd say about 40% of the crowd walked out of this big fucking warehouse. But he was just like, he just did his thing. Yeah. And that stuck with me forever, because it was like, what is the point of him flying this guy all the way from Detroit to England to play, and then him just play all the popular rave tunes of the time? Exactly. That makes no sense.
And furthermore, fuck that, because you know what happens? You open a Pandora's box when you come to these genres that are imported into a club, mate. So
when I first started going DJing overseas, when drum and bass first started going international, that always resonated with me.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, and it's just like, I'm here to represent myself, and I represent drum and bass. And I'm very proud of the fact that through that period of mid-90s, I was either the first or the second or the third DJ to go to Japan or Australia or America or wherever. So they were really pioneering days. But if we'd have gone there and just pandered and played just some thinking, been worried about if the crowd were into it or not. I can remember when me and Goldie, we did a tour of California, we did San Francisco, LA, and then we did some little place in between, which was really weird. But they wanted to hear UK drum and bass, you know what I mean?
They wanted to absorb what the Royal was.
So, and you know, that lesson I learned early on from Derek May was just like, just do your thing, man. Do you know what I mean? And maybe half the crowd might walk off the dance floor, but that's because they're not ready. But they'll get it 2 years from now. Do you know what I mean? When they get the tape or whatever. And that's the thing. And I know people that said, oh, when I first heard Derek May play, or when I first heard Groove Rider play, when Groove first started coming up to the Midlands, some people weren't ready for that shit, man. Do you know what I mean? Because he was fucking four to the floor and proper shit, man. He wasn't fucking around, man. And some people weren't ready for that shit. But then I had friends that say, oh, you know, when Groove Rider first started coming up, man, I didn't really like it, but now I get it. You know what I mean? Now I get it 2 years later. And
sometimes you need that.